morning, boys and girls of the internet. Today is Tuesday, December 11th, 2018. This will be vlog number 344. And I want to give a quick review of Creed 2. I just saw it with a friend of mine, and I just want to give a little quick description. I'll try not to give too many spoilers of it in this video. And I know the movie's fairly new. Usually when I do get my review, usually they don't come out until way later, so I'm trying to help you out there. So yeah, overall, I did enjoy the movie. It was, it takes place about a few years after the first Creed, and Creed it opens up to Creed fighting to earn the World Heavyweight Champion. He fought, like they say, after, because in the first movie, if you've seen it, he lost that fight at the end of the movie. Spoilers, but he did. So, but after they said it earlier in the movie, they said after that fight, he won everything else, and now he's going for the heavyweight. He won everything up until that point. So obviously he's definitely, he's a competent fighter. He's very good, and he goes for the championship, and he wins it, like, right away. There's no spoilers to that. He alluded to that in all the trailers and stuff. So now, of course, in this movie, as you know, it has a lot of history tied into it, because the big looming presence in this movie is Drago, as in Ivan Drago from way back in Rocky IV, who Rocky beat, but Ivan Drago also beat Apollo Creed, which is Adonis Creed's father. And that's like the looming presence, because with Creed, he's like, oh, he's the guy who killed my father, and his son Victor Drago, he wants to fight me, and it kind of shows how heavily it weighs on him and stuff. And what I do like about the movie is that, in comparison to like the old Rocky movies, is they humanize the characters a lot more than like the old movies. The old movies, the characters were more like, I wouldn't really say like stereotypes, but I'm saying like you didn't care about Drago. He was the big bad guy. He was the villain, end quotes, the villain, and he was an unthinking, uncaring machine. And of course, back then, it has a lot to do with how the country as a whole, in terms of Americans, thought of Russia and USSR. Because back then, of course, it's towards the end of the Cold War. All that, there's still all that feeling left. So we had to kind of like almost like propagandize Russians. Not so much in this one. This one, the movie actually opens up with Drago. You see Drago first, the very first thing you see in the movie, and he is getting his son up to go train and go do a boxing fight, and because they were like in Ukraine and stuff. So it kind of shows that he is human. He has a son. He cares about his son, and he cares about what happened to him when he lost his fight against Rocky. Because he's like, they took away everything from me. My wife left me. It just it humanizes everything, and that's what I kind of appreciates about this movie, is that they're not, unthinking, unfeeling machines. They're not, unthinking villains. they are very human, and they all have emotions, and they have their own desires. So that's what I kind of liked about this movie. And you know, like I said, it's not cartoony in a way of like, in the old Rocky movies, you know, they would like punch it out 12 rounds, and yeah, they would get hurt and get swollen eyes and get cut faces and stuff. But they would keep punching like, you know, like they're fucking robots and shit. In this one, things look like they hurt. Things look like you feel it. Like there's a couple of times when I was watching this movie where I winced. I was like, ooh, like, ooh. Because they did a really good job with fight choreography, and also just the feeling of pain and struggle that the characters were going through. And that's another good thing they did in this movie, is that Creed, you could see how, you could just feel a little bit more about how emotional everything was to him. You know, here he is, you know, he just won a championship, he's feeling on top of the world, and here comes the specter of the past, you know, Ivan Drago and his son coming and say, hey, we want to fight you for your championship. You know, and it's like, you're gonna be a man and fight us, you know, because hey, Drago is what caused your father to die in the ring. You know, and you know, he struggles with that. Rocky doesn't want to fight him because he's like, you know, I don't want to happen to you what happened to Apollo. And I was pretty surprised with where they went with it. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but movies like this, like in boxing movies, you kind of have this like formula that you can kind of follow, or that you think you could follow, because you know there has to be that struggle, there has to be that that conflict, but that struggle is often very formulaic because it's a narrative. You know, the main character has to go through a character arc where, yeah, he's on top of the world, he gets taken down, you know, a notch or 2 or 10, and this one definitely Creed gets taken down to almost nothing, where like everything's like stripped away from him, and it's hard for him. And you know, then of course he has to pick himself back up, and there's that character arc of getting back on your feet, and so they did a really good job with that. And I'm not gonna spoil the ending, of course, but I did like, you saw emotional parts in the final fight. You do see Drago, kind of Ivan Drago, the dad, you know, he's his son's corner man. Yeah, at some part he's like a machine. It's like you have to break him. But you start seeing care and concern in his face at parts in the fight. And so, and there's other parts where it kind of harkens back to like kind of an emotional thing where you know, Ivan Drago's wife left way before, and that they kind of show a little bit of that too. And it shows that they are human. They do have their own stories. They've had a life. They're living a hard life in the Ukraine, and you know, this is a way to try to redeem themselves, to try to redeem the Drago name, to try to redeem Russian boxing. And so you see that struggle. It is a struggle for them, and the arc for them is palpable. You could see it, and you can. And again, it's makes it very interesting. It was surprising. Of course, typical Rocky movies, or now they're Creed movies. You get your training montages. In this one, they do a very good job of showing the struggles of training and stuff and what they're doing. The only thing that kind of that was lacking in this one, that I was hoping they would do, because I liked it in the first movie, is in the first movie, if you remember, there was a fight like in the middle where Creed, and then he's fighting this guy. He's just like a random boxer, and the whole fight is only like 2 or 3 rounds. It's like a very short fight, but the entire fight is shot in a way to make it look like a single cut, like a single take of a fight. The way the camera movements are, and I love that. That was a badass fight, and I was hoping that in this one that maybe they weren't going to do it exactly like that, but do something similar to that. But unfortunately, they didn't do it in this one. But again, the fights that they do have in this movie, they're very well done. Choreographical. That's not a word. The fight choreography is done very well. It doesn't look fake in Hollywood and shit. It looks like things are hurt, things are painful. And overall, I'll just say, like, it's a very human story, and you see the struggles between it's like, yeah, there's the fight, there's the boxing aspect of it, but there's also the family element and connections between people and then the characters and emotion. There's a lot of emotion in this movie. Overall, it's a very well done movie. I highly recommend it. I'll definitely want to see it again. It's definitely not it's way better than like Rocky 5. That's for sure. They put a good emotional story into it, and that's why I enjoyed about it. And of course, I enjoy the boxing. I was remarking to my friend after we saw it, I was like, you know what boxing movies make me want to do now? Makes me want to go and watch Ippo. If you don't know Hajime no Ippo, it's a boxing anime. And that movie, and watching Ippo just makes me pumped. I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go box. But yeah, that's what this movie. I want to go home and watch Ippo right now after this one. I want to go train. I want to go punch a punching bag. But definitely go see this movie if you're a fan of boxing movies in general. If you like the first Creed, you'll definitely like this one. I think it was a good character arc. There was a few times where a little bit of a predictable action by Creed was, but it's in tune with his character, because if you remember from the first movie, one of Adonis Creed's character trait is that he lets anger get the better of him a lot of times, and it happens again in this movie. And of course, so to show you, if you let that happen, you fuck up. You let anger get the better of you, it's not a good thing. Bad things will happen. And they show that in this movie too, and he does overcome that eventually. But again, that's something you can predict easily, because that's within his character. Again, great movie. Go see it. I highly recommend it. And let me know what you think if you saw this movie. If you've seen the first Creed, if you plan to go see this one, let me know. And yeah, tell me what you think. I'll talk to y'all later, I guess. That'll be it for today. And have a good day. I love you.